Over the last few days, there's been a massive surge that's been reported in cyber attacks against India. Now, it is my firm belief that in case things start going south for China, there will be multiple efforts made to try and attack India in the cyber domain. For a sense of India's cyber capabilities and, more importantly, our ability to resist any cyber attack from China, and for a sense of how all of us can be more secure in our private space so that we don't end up becoming victims of any Chinese phishing attack. I'm joined on this broadcast by Dr. Gulshan Rai. He's a distinguished fellow at ORF, was former Chief Information Security Officer in the Prime Minister's office, has really been in charge of India's cyber architecture. And he's helped build India's cyber architecture, understands the ins and outs, what we can and cannot do. More importantly, understands also China's offensive capabilities and whether we are placed to resist them. Jiten Jain joins us. He's a leading cyber security expert. And Jaydev Ranade, as I said, is really one of India's top China experts, understands every aspect of China's military capabilities, including cyber capabilities. So, Dr. Gulshan Rai, first and foremost, give us your sense of what we've noticed over the past several days. Multiple attacks, more than 40,000 cyber attacks being reported by the Mumbai police in different parts just over the past few days. Give our viewers your debrief on what you think is happening right now. Dr. Rai.
Thank you, Rahul. First of all, I must say that the cases reported by the Maharashtra police, they are not cyber security incidents. They are talking about a cyber crime cases there. Now, those cyber crime cases are a result of the pandemic, COVID-19, which is work from home, largely is because of that there. Yes, that is also true that during the last couple of months, let us say from January onward, the number of cyber incidents have increased significantly. And some of the cases which has been noticed, it has been large increase in the phishing cases where a adversary sent a mail which is almost similar, identical to the genuine mail and tried to intrude into the system. That's one kind of a system cyber security breaches has been observed. The other is kind of a sending a mail and try to lock your system called a ransomware. These are the type of things which we have seen for the last couple of months, and there have been a significant increase, more than 400% kind of a phishing mail cases have been increased. The other important aspect which has been observed during the last couple of months is the scanning of the system, which is heavily system have been scanned there. So I would not say that this has become because of any heightened tension between India and China. These are largely accountable to the pandemic because IT has a nature that the data is stolen and data is monetized. Rahul, you know very well, everybody knows about it. So this is because of that. And those cases are also linked with the individual users. The cases are less reported when we see the corporate sector, where corporate sector is highly secure. I mean, they have a very high level of security. Enough protection measures the corporate level have been taken.
Okay.
But cases.
So just stay with us for a moment. I want to show our viewers this report about how since the time tensions in Ladakh escalated, there's been a big surge in Chinese-sponsored cyber attacks being reported in India, from banks to infrastructure sectors to smartphone companies. They've all been on the target of Chinese hackers. Can India build a firewall against these hacking attacks?
Over 40,000 attacks in 5 days. After the border face-off, China is now targeting Indian cyberspace. India's infrastructure and banking sectors have been under attack. Maharashtra Police's cyber cell that's probing the attack says the Indian government sectors still remain vulnerable.
ज़्यादातर ये सब साइबर अटैक्स जो हैं या हैकिंग अटैक्स जो हैं वो चेंडू एरिया, चाइना के चेंडू एरिया से ओरिजिनेट हो रहे हैं। इसके साथ साथ ब्रॉडली इनको 3 कैटेगरी में बांटा जा सकता है। नंबर 1 टाइप ऑफ अटैक्स हैं जो कि डिनायल ऑफ सर्विस अटैक्स हैं। दूसरे टाइप के अटैक्स हैं जो कि इंटरनेट प्रोटोकॉल हाईजैकिंग अटैक्स हैं, और थर्ड टाइप के अटैक हैं वो है फिशिंग अटैक्स हैं।
According to a Singapore-based cyber threat intelligence firm, the sectors that were targeted for cyber attacks included telecom, pharma, media companies, smartphone makers, construction and tire companies. The analysis also shows that the hackers particularly targeted 3 government ministries: Foreign Affairs, Defense and Information and Broadcasting.
The attack on our critical infrastructure by disruption of our critical infrastructure, especially in the time of pandemic. Now, if you were to analyze sectors like telecom or power sector, we have huge dependencies of Chinese equipments.
The government has also issued an advisory through the National Cybercrime Portal, warning users of large-scale phishing attacks planned by Chinese state-backed hackers. The advisory warns against a specific email address, mails from which claim to offer free COVID-19 testing.
The capacity of Chinese hackers is humongous. We have no idea what their level of hacking abilities are. In every university, there are committed hackers groups which are all funded by the Chinese military, and they have been given specific tasks to hack our systems as and when it is required.
It's not just India. Australian governments and private websites have also come under a sophisticated China-sponsored cyber attack. Experts say India needs to build a strong firewall, and fast.
India for long has not given the kind of importance to cybersecurity that it should have given. India still does not have a dedicated law on cybersecurity. Work quickly towards coming up with a standard operating procedure for all stakeholders as to what all duties and responsibilities they are going to have in the event of a cyber attack.
Australia was the target of cyber attacks. In the long term, what we need to do is to build partnerships among various stakeholders: industry, civil society, academia, and private security researchers. All of us need to collaborate together to ensure that we can ramp up our defense against powerful bad actors.
Could the next big flashpoint be fought on the digital battlefield? Bureau Report, India Today.
Jitin Jain, I'd like you to share with our viewers your assessment of how China has been poking us post the pandemic, during the Ladakh crisis, and really testing our capabilities and looking for vulnerabilities.
I think, Rahul, we can't say that how much Chinese activities has increased post-pandemic or, during the current standoff. You see, Chinese are always in the, long-term game. They are not the knee-jerk reactors. So if you were to analyze Chinese capabilities, you can primarily look into 3 areas. One is the information gleaning and espionage activities, which has gone on for decades. They have been snooping on, Tibetan government in exile. They've been snooping on governments across the world. And they're sometimes they're doing it for, get defense secrets. Sometimes it is fueled by ambition to leapfrog the economic development by stealing the IPR properties and research and development projects of companies across the world. They stole designs of Lockheed Martin. There have been instances in India where they were trying to steal IPR. So that thing probably during an armed conflict will multifold because of the increasing need of defense intelligence. So that's one threat we are facing. Second is the threat at the critical infrastructure sector. So I think a lot has been said about it. We all know that our humongous dependencies on Chinese goods, especially the mobile phones we carry, the routers and switches we are using across our banks, critical infrastructure, power grids everywhere. And that is an area where we are highly vulnerable because of, you would be surprised to know not only the telecom, more than the telecom, the biggest Chinese investment is in the power sector. And as per the recent study by Central Energy Authority, almost around 65 to 70% companies which have supplied products in the power grids and power stations, they were even if they were Indian, they were the joint venture front ends. The 70% product which were supplied with the Chinese products. So that is one area where we are highly vulnerable, where disruption can be caused. Third, which is happening now after the pandemic and during the Ladakh conflict, is the manipulation of social media, the wolf warrior diplomacy of China. We all know that, in last 1 year, almost 130 Chinese diplomats have joined Twitter. And, Twitter is banned in China. Facebook is banned in China. Despite of that, every single Chinese diplomat is now coming on Twitter and spreading propaganda. I mean, they're spreading falsehoods, they are spreading false theories, they are, they're putting out conspiracy theories that coronavirus originated in, the US, not in China. They are spreading theories like, Indian soldiers, Chinese are not in the Indian territory, it is India which is the aggressor. So this propaganda thing will multifold because of the sheer size of Chinese, the money and the troll population they have. But the problem is, if you were to analyze what they can do, honestly speaking, in last 10 years, there is no concrete, reasonable Chinese cyber capability assessment which has been carried out by anyone in India. I mean, that is where we have either been ignorant or we have been indifferent, but probably the alarm bells are now ringing and the time has come that we have to, shift our focus from Pakistan to China.
Nadia, you've actually seen how China has built cyber capabilities to be able to use them, and remember, they're trying to benchmark themselves against the United States, so they're not really planning to take on, say, a Vietnam or a Taiwan or a Korea or an India in the cyber domain. Their aim ultimately is to be able to take on and, in their view, compete with and possibly beat the US in cyber warfare. Give us your sense of how the Chinese have been developing their cyber capabilities.
Is that question you've asked?
Right. When you say that the United States is in the crosshairs of the Chinese, that is the main target. But really speaking, they started paying attention to cyber warfare. First, of course, in that book in 1999 called Unrestricted Warfare, which said everything is all right. And they picked that up to mean that deception, stealth, ingenuity, and evasion of war should be the cardinal principles which they will follow. Cyber fits into that very neatly. They then began integrating cyber IT companies or cyber companies with the PLA units, and they began creating cyber battalions and information warfare battalions within the PLA. Just by way of illustration of the strengths that the Chinese have deployed, let me mention that in Chengdu, they have 50,000 people. They had, I would say, because this information is a few years old, 50,000 people focused only on India. Another 50,000 focused on the Dalai Lama setup. So they have put dedicated manpower there. They've
50,000 people, like 50,000 cyber warriors banging away on a keyboard. What do these guys possibly do?
Well, I mean, they probe us. I'll just come to that. They also have the PLA unit 78006, which is based in Chengdu, which is focused on our military infrastructure. Now, what they're doing at the moment is a kind of a passive surveillance of the computer systems, a passive surveillance of our cyber network. So what they're doing is they're probing, and I expect that by now the probes would have already started, probing efforts would have already started of what they call the sensitive civil utilities that they plan to target, like power generation houses, hospitals, railways, etc., and certain offices. Like, for example, the China office in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and things like that. They would be at the moment conducting passive surveillance before they step onto an offensive role. The principle on which the Chinese have formulated, I don't know whether they are going to still follow it, but their first, plan to open offensives with a massive cyber offensive intended to cripple the adversary's cyber networks. That's their intention. And to break down communication between the command and the lower formations, between the political establishment and the military establishment. The second phase is a massive cyber offensive to disrupt communications of the civilian population. And that way, they hope to foster discontent within the civilian population. So after that, of course, they will go to the more kinetic methods of missiles, etc. So this is their plan. They have invested a lot in it. And they have, as I said, developed new methodologies in cyber warfare. They have created information battalions. And let me conclude by just mentioning that Lanchao military region, which has now been absorbed by the Western Theatre Command, that has been specifically tasked to disrupt cyber communications of India. And they have a electronic network warfare brigade in Lanchao military region, erstwhile Lanchao military region.
Can I just tell our viewers that, our whole reason for having this conversation is that people are aware and people can take precautions in the best way that they can. But do not for a second think that India doesn't have similar cyber offensive capabilities. We don't want to discuss them on television. It's for us to know what the enemy can do and to be prepared to ward that off. And therefore, Jitin, if people are watching you at this time and saying, okay, what Jaydev Ranade is saying is deeply alarming and very startling, is there anything I can do at this moment to ensure that I don't end up becoming the victim of a Chinese cyber attack? Jitin?
Yes, Rahul. You see, these assessments of hackers whose collective like Honkers Union having 40,000 hackers, or this, Chinese 2 cent army having more than 1.5 lakh trolls who get, paid for 2 cents for every tweet and comment they put out on the Chinese Weibo in the favor of government and, trail basically the dissenters. This all information is, 7 to 8 year old. We don't have the current assessments. But if any sensible, a dictatorship, a country like China were to conduct cyber espionage or information gathering operations, these mobile apps would have been the most easier methodology to collect information. Now, the problem with India is that every single app what we are using, like TikTok, WeChat, all of them have been at some point of time have faced allegations of being the Chinese front-end company for espionage. And in our country, we have seen a couple of advisories being issued against this app, but we do not have a coherent and decisive policy. Imagine, recently, I think on your channel you covered that government has issued an advisory against 52 odd Chinese apps. One of the apps which is listed on the top of that advisory is Weibo, which is Chinese Twitter. Now, the problem is that some bureaucrat just Googled and copy-pasted the list of Chinese apps without even realizing what the assessment was. Weibo is one. If you are calling Weibo and spy app, how can there be a situation when the Prime Minister of India maintains an account on Weibo? Either Prime Minister should close down the account, and this is, you must remember, the press release issued by the Prime Minister's office and the Embassy of India was removed by Chinese government on their Weibo accounts in China. That is the kind of censorship they are facing. So if we are calling that these are spy apps, we must ensure that our diplomats, our government officials do not maintain our accounts over there, and there has to be an absolute boycott. If somebody is committing suicide, you cannot say that please don't jump, you will die. You have to prevent that person from, dying or jumping.
Issuing mere advisories. I'm out of time on this show, but I'm glad that we were able to touch on the cyber domain, because for people to be aware and for people to be informed of the challenges, because one of the first attacks, remember, will be in the cyber domain if the disengagement and de-escalation doesn't work out, and therefore it's important to know that you need to have your guard up in every way possible, including ignoring any mail that looks completely suspicious. But it's a battle that's way beyond that, and we were able to touch on some of these dimensions. I hope to do more later. Jitin Jain, Dr. Gulshan Rai, Jaydev Ranade, for joining us with your very sharp insights. Thank you very much. This is where I wrap up the News Track tonight. Rajdeep Sardesai comes up next with the news today. Goodbye.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.